I'm Lisa Dahl, health and wellness coach, and welcome to Getting Healthy Without Rules. This show is about understanding the things that impact your health and wellness and finding ways to improve it. This show supports a non-diet, no-rule approach to health and wellness. Health and wellness is a moving target, and we all have different needs and opportunities to improve it. This allows you to make the best choice with the information that you have right now. It helps you to be present, flexible, and resilient. In addition, I support you from shifting from judgment to curiosity and offering yourself self-compassion. It's time that we're all a little bit kinder to ourselves. In this show, we have talked about all the different aspects of our lives and how they affect our health and wellness and how everything is interconnected. We have also talked about the importance of being connected to our bodies and being able to perceive and understand the messages that our bodies are giving us. In today's episode, we're going to dive deeper into connecting with our bodies, in particular about hormone balance, menopause, and the practice of Ayurveda. For those that are watching, or for the men that are watching, learning about menopause is not just for women. It will affect all the women in your life, and how they are feeling will have an impact on your health and wellness too. Hormone imbalance directly affects our physical, mental, and emotional health. I hear from a lot of my clients during this time how their bodies have changed, and I would have to say that I am part of that time frame. And I also hear how their emotional health is being affected, and often hear the words brain fog. So Ayurveda is a holistic system of medicine that originated in India over 3,000 years ago. It is based on the belief that health is a state of balance between the body, mind, and spirit. While Ayurveda is not a substitute for modern science-based medicine, it teaches that we can improve our health and well-being, becoming more connected to our bodies. This show's reoccurring theme is improving our well-being and paying attention to our physical sensations, emotions, and thoughts. When connected to our body's natural cues, we can make better choices supporting our health and wellness. Today, we're going to talk about what is the body's wisdom, how can we better connect with it, how can Ayurveda help us connect with our body's wisdom, what is the Ayurveda perspective on menopause, and how can Ayurveda help women balance their hormones. Be sure to stay to the end for this week's practice on how to connect with your body's wisdom. Today, I'm privileged to introduce you to Laura Viale, a functional nutrition counselor. Laura is a functional nutrition counselor and an Ayurvedic lifestyle coach specializing in hormone balance for women in peri and post-menopause. She is the founder of Naturally Thriving Women's Health and the creator of Thrive Method for Hormone Balance, a comprehensive program for women going through the phases of menopause. After overcoming some of her own symptoms of hormone imbalance in her early 40s, she is passionate about teaching women how to honor their bodies, trust in their own wisdom, and thrive through the stages of menopause and beyond. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, I am happy to have you. And Ayurveda is something that I don't know a lot about, so I'm really excited about the conversation.
Yeah.
So let's begin with, tell me, what is your body's wisdom? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I think for me, it means a combination of intuition and instinct, right? And then also paying attention to your physical body and what it's trying to communicate to you. So that's my simple answer.
And how did you personally discover the value of honoring your wisdom in your body?
Yeah, so for me, back when I wasn't honoring my body and sort of doing whatever I wanted and not feeling well, right? I I'd always been very interested in nutrition. And I've been working in the wellness industry for over 20 years. And so I was well aware of different ways to care for your body, right? So one of the things that, looking back now, I would say my intuition or my instincts were telling me was to try to stay away from gluten. and I know you're like a rule person, but that was what was coming in. And I really was not interested in doing that. I didn't want to do it. So but it kept coming in and I kept not feeling well. So what happened was I made sort of a deal with myself, and I decided instead of cutting it out completely, I would cut back. And what happened was I felt unbelievable changes in my body. And now, so years later, come to find out I have celiac in my family. So this was something that, I'm connecting all the dots now. I feel like that's the type of thing that I feel like we should honor, and that's the sort of wisdom that was coming through for me.
And what kind of messages were you getting? Like what kind of sensations? What was your body feeling? What was you
happening?
Hearing? What was that little voice?
Yeah, so the things that were coming up for me symptom-wise were anxiety, skin issues. I had acne. I had terrible insomnia. I had digestive issues. I feel like there's more. So yeah, there was several things going on, and vanity was speaking the loudest. I did not like this acne that was happening, and I had tried dairy. I had tried sugar to kind of cut back on those, and it was better, but not enough. And so to be honest with you, I was trying to, I was going after the acne first and foremost. So when I did this experiment with myself after about 6 weeks, like my skin was better. There's more to that story. But the most amazing thing that was happening to me, that was a complete surprise, was that I wasn't having the anxious, really, really dark thoughts that I was having that were contributing to my insomnia as well. And so that was enough for me to kind of stick with it. Yeah.
And what are some tips you offer with trying to connect to that body's wisdom?
Yeah. So this is different for everybody, right? And I think meditation is a great way to do it. I think just paying attention, experimenting, educating yourself, like learning about like the body, how it operates, what are the possible, like get curious, I think is
curiosity is a huge component to understanding oneself and how to manage their health and wellness. So tell me about Ayurveda and how that practice helps you connect to the body's wisdom.
So Ayurveda is, as you explained earlier, it's an ancient wellness system that was developed in India over many thousands of years ago. And what I really love about it is that it helps decode your symptoms. So it helps give another lens to look at what's going on in your body and then make adjustments,
so
according to that.
Tell me more about decoding. What does that mean?
So the simplest way of describing this is one of their practices is balancing with opposites. So like a super simplified, example would be if you're someone who experiences cold all the time. So maybe you're someone who has cold hands and feet, and you're chilly when everyone else seems to be fine or warm, and that kind of thing. You want to balance with the opposite. So you might opt for drinking warmer drinks as opposed to ice drinks. You might, have your food warmed instead of raw. To try that out, to do that, just to balance. So
naturally, though, do people tend to, I'm somebody who is always typically run on the colder side. So I absolutely am always looking for that warmer drink where it definitely makes a difference. Like I wouldn't even think of having an ice cold drink in the middle of the winter.
Right.
Because that's not going to feel good in my body.
That's right.
So it's kind of saying, naturally tune in. Getting curious. What's going to make you feel better?
Yes.
If you're cold, what's going to warm you from the inside out.
Yes, exactly.
So how does the Ayurveda perspective on menopause differ from traditional medicine? What does that look like?
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about the phases of life that Ayurveda teaches about, because it's super cool. So there's 3 phases of life. The first phase of life is called the kapha stage. So this is the building, the growing stage. So this is when you are in childhood, so you're literally growing and developing. Then we have sort of what we would call maybe like not midlife, but the years where for a woman, you're able to reproduce, you're going after your career, you're building your family, you're sort of establishing yourself as
it's like your 20s and your 30s.
Yeah, you're establishing yourself as an adult. And in terms of menopause, you're able to reproduce if you're a woman, obviously. And then the third phase of life, which is called the vata stage of life, is when it corresponds to menopause and postmenopause, timing-wise. And this, Ayurveda teaches that this is a time of life when we are meant to share our wisdom, to share our life lessons with younger generations, and help them from our perspective. And I just think that's really beautiful.
And how is that done? Can you give some examples of what that looks like?
Of sharing your wisdom. And I think you're doing it with this show, right? I think it's, when we feel good and when we are healthy and we are thriving, I think this comes naturally, right? You want to share your life lessons with people. So helping, I feel like part of what I'm meant to do is to help women get to the point where they're feeling well enough so that they're excited about sharing
so,
what they've done.
When you say that you help women, through the process of menopause using Ayurveda, can you share some examples of some tools that you use to be able to use that practice?
Yeah. So, good question. So I use Ayurveda in my practice. So I use both functional nutrition and Ayurveda. And where I use Ayurveda the most is sort of staying in balance. So not only teaching women to tune in, to pay attention to the messages that their body is sending them, and that piece, but also on a more subtle level. I'm going to back up for a second. I think from my experience, and I think a lot of other women, especially in our younger years when our bodies can handle it, we tend to push through aches and pains, let's say, or other symptoms, right? We power through it, push through it, ignore it, push it aside. Like, we got other things going on. We don't have time for our health. And I think that Ayurveda really encourages the opposite, not to be a hypochondriac, but just to tune in and pay attention, slow down, honor yourself. What do I need today? And it doesn't have to be like a big, crazy thing. Like, it can be today, drink more water. I mean, it can be really simple.
So it's more about body acceptance, self-care. What are the messages, and being curious as to how can I honor what those messages are. So if I'm exhausted versus plowing through, maybe it's really important to take a nap, take time to just be, look at your sleep.
Yeah.
How do you figure out how are you ultimately going to start to feel better?
100%.
During menopause, there's a huge flux in women's hormones, and it's common to hear, I need to balance my hormones.
Right.
What does that mean?
What do you do with that? Yeah. I know. Yeah, hormones are tricky, and I think a lot of people want to go and get their hormones tested to, validate their feelings and what they're experiencing. And I'll just say, like, blood tests are tricky and can be really disappointing, and it doesn't mean that you don't have a hormone imbalance. So don't get discouraged. The nature of hormones is that they're fluctuating. So your blood test is going to show you what they were at on that day for that moment that you took them.
It's a snapshot. It's a moment in time.
Exactly. It might be different later that day or later that week or whatever. So that can be frustrating. I think for me, balancing your hormones means looking at the root causes.
So what are those root causes?
So the way I approach this is there are systems in the body that support hormone balance. So if your gut health, that's one of them, is not functioning or optimized, you're possibly not going to get the nutrients that you need to create the hormones in the first place. And also your gut microbiome, if that's not healthy, then there's a whole group of bacteria in your gut called the estrobolome. They help regulate estrogen levels in your body. So if that little microsystem there isn't healthy, then that's going to throw off hormones. So gut health is one of those systems. So we look at that. I look at liver health or the detoxification function. Detoxification is one of those things where if we have excess hormones, could be cortisol, could be estrogen, your body's designed to metabolize them, package them up, and excrete them. If there's something going on with that detoxification system, then that's going to slow down. Those hormones are going to get reabsorbed. Then we're out of balance, right? There's adrenal health. We must take care of our precious adrenal glands because they also produce estrogen and progesterone when our ovaries stop. So making sure we are taking time out to rest and not, say no, find ways of being calm and all of that. What is it called? Nervous system regulation. Yeah, right?
So what I'm hearing is it's really about a practice of being present.
Yeah.
And to be able to take the time, and that when you do take the time to listen to the messages of your body, and it's hard to slow down. We're so consumed with all the things that we're doing. It's, I don't want to say a fancy name, but it's kind of a practice to really honor what is going on, not just to plow through and to slow down. And when you slow down, your body starts to naturally start to take care of itself and rejuvenate.
100%. Beautifully said.
So I'm curious, what about that common complaint of brain fog?
Yeah.
Where does that come from, and where is Ayurveda different than traditional medicine?
Yeah. So brain fog can have, again, we want to get curious what's going on here, like what could be the roots of this brain fog. And yes, this is really common for women going through perimenopause. So there is a peri and postmenopause. There is a hormonal component to it. But again, we want to dig deeper. Why are those hormones not in balance? What are those systems that are supporting our hormones? And do they need some help and optimization? So things that can be going on when we're looking at brain fog, it could be any of the things I just said. It could be poor gut health. In fact, Ayurveda talks about the concept of Agni. So Agni is a term that is related to digestion and detoxification, metabolism. It's sort of they're all wrapped together in this concept of Agni. And the word Agni translates to fire. And we want to strengthen the fire. So Ayurveda talks about strengthening that fire. And one of the symptoms of a weak Agni is brain fog, among a bunch of other things. But yeah, brain fog is one of those. So again, like a whole different lens, but going back to the gut, it's really, really important.
So what are some actual practices that would be able to balance that out? What would you recommend if somebody came in and said, I have all this brain fog going on, and you determine it's one of these systems?
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of what that path would look like forward?
Yeah, so if we talk about optimizing gut health, for example, or strengthening Agni. One of the very simple things you could do would be to make your food more easily digestible. So opting for, lightly cooked food, veggies, lots of nutrients, but you want to, when we lightly cook our food, it's a lot easier on the digestive system, especially if it's struggling a little bit, to extract and absorb those nutrients. So not 100% of the time, but if we, opt for that more, that could help. There's wonderful, delicious herbs and spices we can use that would strengthen Agni, like ginger and turmeric and cumin and all these yummy, tasty things that all strengthens your Agni too.
So it's simple food practices on how you're preparing your food, adding in some different spices, herbs, experimenting. How long does somebody have to experiment with something to perhaps see a change?
See a change, yeah. That's a good question. I think it really depends. It depends on your starting point, right? And how deep your imbalances are. Your commitment level to, experimenting is going to affect it too. But I've seen people experience that clearing in just like 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, so the body's so cool. It responds. It does.
It does. It has a direct response, and one change has such a ripple effect on so many different other parts of our health and wellness.
That's right.
So I understand Ayurveda includes other modalities such as meditation, yoga, acupuncture, herbal medicine, and massage therapy. And I believe today you have a meditation that you would like to share.
Sure, yeah.
So if we could do that now, that would be perfect.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so I have notes here because I want this to be awesome. So, all right. I want everyone to get comfortable. You can deepen your breath. We'll take an inhale together and exhale. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes. And inhale again. And exhale. I want you to imagine yourself feeling your most vibrant. Your mind is clear. You feel excited about your day. Your body feels energetic and strong. Feel into what it's like to be in this elevated state of health. This is the healthiest version of you. And she is ready to guide you toward this reality. As you feel into the incredible sensation of this most vibrant version of you, ask yourself, what does my body need today? It may be rest or movement, more water, more veggies, or maybe she's guiding you to more laughter. So tune into the first answer that comes to you. And now, honor that guidance today. You turn your attention to your breath and take an inhale and an exhale. And when you're ready, open your eyes.
So it's really about connecting, feeling, noticing, creating awareness, and bringing that curiosity into all of your experiences. That it's not a black and white practice, it is about learning what is best for your body.
That's exactly it. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Because I believe in a no-rules approach to health and wellness, can you share how people can experiment to find what parts of this practice work best for them?
Yeah, so what I do with my clients is, we create a plan, we have, different recommendations and options, and I want them to take the lead. What, after our conversation, resonates with you? What do you feel kind of excited about trying? Pick one thing, doesn't have to be 5 or 10. I tend to overload the recommendations, so slow down, pick one that feels right for you, and try it for a week, and let's see what you feel like. If you liked it, great. If you don't, ditch it. There's so many other things,
So it's really about creating awareness, creating that vision, and then backing it out and finding that one simple thing that you're ready to be able to shift in your actions and behaviors today.
Yes.
We are very similar in how we like to support our clients, and that it's very client-centered, that it's not for us to tell our clients on how to work best, what they are supposed to do, that it's for them to help understand where they feel the least resistance, what they connect to, because what they connect to is what they're going to repeat and how they're going to thrive. Before you tell us about this week's practice, is there any other words of wisdom that you would like to share today?
Yeah, I would like to remind women how intuitive you are, because I think that this gets lost. I think that there's a lot of fear that comes up when we don't feel well, and I just want you to remember that you have the answers within you. We are so intuitive, and I am really passionate about helping women reconnect with that.
So encouraging people to be authentic and not to allow themselves to be dismissed. Often we will go to a practitioner, and if it's not an easy identifiable thing, we want to encourage women, and anybody for that fact, to be able to use their voice, advocate for themselves, be willing to step out of line and try something different so that they can find what actually works for them.
Yes.
And I believe you have a downloadable meditation that you would like to share.
Yes.
So we can find that on your website, and that will be in the show notes.
Yes. Yes, it will.
So thank you for being on our show. Today we talked about connecting with our bodies, trying to understand a little bit better about hormone balance, where Ayurveda comes in, how it helps you support connecting to your body and your inner wisdom. If you would like to continue this conversation, please stop in for my monthly office hours, monthly conversations. And as always, I encourage you to reach out, send me an email, share what's working. If you are willing to experiment with honoring your body through your wisdom, what that practice looks like for you. And I look forward to sharing our next episode of Getting Healthy Without Rules.